Welcome to Alwa's NES Awakening. This is stream number 18. We're porting Alwa's Awakening to the NES. My name is Paul. Go by InfiniteNesLives online. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link in the description to the recap at the end, so you don't have to watch me bore on. Last time, we haven't been here for 2 weeks. I was running around the wilderness with some 5th graders last week. We 2 weeks ago, and we got scrolling working. Well, not just scrolling. Our room changes are going back to default playfield, so we moved things into different function, into a separate function, so we can reuse our code. But if we scroll left, it draws it, scrolls into name table 0, redraws it in name table 1, and then jumps over. So now it's ready for another scroll. We can go right. Same story, just opposite direction, and it will go down. When it scrolls down, draws the play field, the room in name table 0. That way we're not. The thing needs to happen next is redraw it in name table 1. And then we can flip over, then we're ready for subsequent scrolls. The real sticking point and thing that we don't have implemented that realized we wanted is the set nat pointer. So the way it works right now is based on which direction I hit on the Dpad, it scrolls. Well, it scrolls that direction, but the room that I load from tiled is dependent on that. Really what we want is an overall map. We want to be able to say, okay, well, we're in room 313, whatever it is. We scroll left, what's the data that we need to load up? So this is one of our first rooms here. Show grid. I'm thinking a linked list, basically. The overall height of the overworld is 19 rooms. 35 wide plus the secret area. The only thing I'm not, so I don't know if we're actually going to deal with this as one big overworld or split it into the different areas. I did make a spreadsheet that I don't know where I put that thing. There we go. So I went through each area. Forsaken Valley is 9 by 14. Amber's column. So the highest void tower is 8 high. I'm thinking we'll split this up. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll just start simple. It might be easier overall just because there's multiple entrances and exits from each of these areas. So it's not just entering, going from Forsaken Valley to Amber's Column here. Well, that also happens up here. I think you can enter Amber's Column other places. So overall, it might be easier as one big overworld, but I guess we don't have to worry about that yet. And we want to have a lookup table. Well, and I'm thinking linked list here. So the way it works right now is before we start scrolling, we call set nat pointer. The decision's based on the current Dpad. Somewhere I was taking notes on probably in I don't know where that was. There. So right now we have nat pointer, but really it's like a working pointer because it's changing as we are learning data, but we don't have to keep restoring that for when we rework the room and draw it again. So when we initiate a room change, we'll want to set that next. And then we can copy next over into nat pointer as we need it. Trying to think the first. So try to do something at boot here. I'm gonna turn my TV off. this right play field. That I do at boot is just that first dummy screen I made. I don't know if I really want to mess with that. So but we do, okay. So we need to initialize. I need to think about this structure here. So I'm thinking entry 0 will just be the room. I think we can give each, there's total rooms of 393. So we can't have unique byte. We're gonna need 2 bytes or 9 bits. Let's just not worry about that for now. Let's assume 256 is enough. And I'm not even sure if we need to number it. So we need 2 bytes for name and attribute table pointer. Also have things like enemy data. Basically, any time we're going into a new room, we may as well put all of the information that we need for that room here. Some things might be the structure will obtain, like if you get the gem or orb, whatever they're called, some data for that. We need to have a pointer pointing at this room, but we need to be able to have this, then the linked list being subsequent rooms. So and maybe this is size. So to some degree, you can find the next room, and I'm thinking the default will be vertical. So if we just like think of like something like these 4 rooms here, this would be room 0, 1, 2, 3. So if you scroll down, you always just go to the next room. If you scroll up, you go to the previous room. If you scroll left or right, you're gonna need to know how tall this column of rooms is to be able to jump that many. So let's think about this. So considering this whole map here, if we're in this room and we want to scroll right, I'll do this one. I'm gonna scroll right. So we have to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That number is actually so it's effectively a jump, a right jump. Left jump would be something like subtract 1, 2, 3, 4. It's always going to be different. There's no... I can't think of a better way to do that. Because these aren't very irregular, and sometimes there's voids. I guess the other thing is instead of having it jump, it could just be a pointer to, that would make it more of a linked list. You don't necessarily need a pointer to the one above or below. The benefit of pointers is the size of room can be variable based on how much data's in there. Yeah, 3 or 4 top level data structure options come to mind. Yeah. Kind of just want to get something working because I can't really foresee all the things I'm really going to want. But as far as the current code goes, I need to stop having things depending upon the Dpad. and say, oh, load room 1 because it hit up or whatever. So let's have these. And maybe we have up down pointers as well, but I'm hoping we can just increment and decrement. And maybe this, okay, anyway. So this is how I have things set up right now. I just have room 0. So forget how I'm going to leave this data structured the way it is here, but I want the entry so I'm going to try to have these start off to be a square. I want the address of room 0 I think I can just do I can do because that's for an immediate value. I don't think that's gonna work. I want, oops. So can I do that? Can I just do a dot byte? Really, it's dot word room 0 low, or do I want, what Indianness do I want here? Does that compile? No. And figure out how to I want let's just look at It's saying I can use an expression or a string. What all are the... What's this? Bank bytes. I'm not sure how to do... Say I can do an expression. What if I just try room 0? It's not a byte, but yeah, range error. Okay, so I don't think it doesn't make... I shouldn't be having the pound there because it's not an instruction. So I think this works. Like I had it before, just remove the pound. But really, I don't want to byte. I should be able to... Is there just word? Or D was double byte. I think I like define word size data. Okay. So here my map is just a table of the pointers to the data. And maybe that's all I really need to get started here. We will want trying to think how we want to point to this. And this isn't very efficient, but we'll use a pointer. A 16-byte pointer to point to the current room. So let's set our pointer to room 0. Room 0 doesn't actually. It's not exactly the same as my initial dummy, but kind of like to keep it that way just for now. So we want to load map. Trying to think. Yeah, the address of map, which is also room 0. So that's the low byte. Now, to some degree, I don't think we need all this right now, but I kind of like what it lets us do later. So we're initialized to map. I do want a current room for now. Do I? Anyway. We do need a cur and a next because for upward scrolls, we're redrawing the current room first. And then scrolling into the final position. For downward scrolls, and the other ones, we're scrolling into the next room, and then we have to redraw the next room. So set nat pointer. We need to determine, and we can just cheat it for now and have a 4-room, but a 4-room map. 0, 1, 2, 3. But really what I want is, so we can, all right, let's just think about down, because we're going to increment it. I'm using this, so set nat pointer has the direction. I got that attribute table. I don't like dealing with that right now. Maybe we'll just do right and left. So if we're thinking about a 4-room map, if we're scrolling right, then we need to increment it by 2. If we scroll left, we need to decrement by 2. And so we can do that by simply doing math in the map pointer. Which isn't going to work long term because we don't know how much math to do. Well, unless the data structure tells us how much math to do. Let's try that for now. Oh, and then it subtracts by. So for set nat pointer, first let's set the current room. So I have on an LDA I think I have to do Y. Yeah. So here I've copied. So I read the address. Map pointer's pointing to our table of our addresses of our table of pointers. So we're loading the current pointer based on the map pointer. And really, I feel like that should already be done. Okay, so if we go left, so really we just want to increment the map pointer by 2. So we're assuming this for now, but we're not going to be able to long term. It's trying to wrap our head around how to get some things done here. So we incremented the map pointer by 2 because we're doing a right scroll. What we want to load So we current nat pointer should already be set. Now we've updated the next nat pointer. And so the working pointer needs to subtract 56. Well, yeah, I'm doing this here, but I don't really want it. This is a separate, this should be in a separate function. Or we want one function for updating. We want like a get next nat pointer. And then we need to set the nat pointer, set the working pointer based on what type of scroll we're doing. Because if we're doing like a downward scroll, we also have to set the attribute table pointer. And right now I'm doing these two separate things in one function. I kind of want to see if I can get it working first. Oh, hold on a second. Yeah, no, the pointer is Little Indian. Because I load the pointer and then I subtract 56. Okay. So I want to load nat pointer. I set it to the starting point up here. So the dang it. So I load low byte. Let's not do that. Subtract, and then I will decrement the upper byte if needed. Okay. refresh your hair on how this horizontal is working. So set nat pointer. We draw the next screen. We're going to scroll into it. And then when we go back to default, we do the same thing. We call this set nat pointer, which is gonna, this is why we need to have these in two separate functions. One being get next and instead of so I'm not going to actually call the function here. I'm just going to copy it over. So next, really I just want to copy it over, load next, and then subtract 56. I don't feel good about this. So what do we expect to happen? We start with room 0. We scroll right. It should draw room 2, these pine trees. Yeah. Perfect. Let's see if it's even doing things. Somewhat like we want. Well, it looks like it's doing 56 frames or 56 bytes. It's just all wrong. They look exactly the same at least? Yeah, they do. Okay, so our pointers. Not as we. Map pointer. Oh, shoot. What? There's got to be a watch. But I want it to be a 16-bit value. Row display format, hexadecimal 16-bit. But six. Let's. So map pointer. Is address 19. Why? Hey, Kotsu, how are we doing? Maybe you can help me figure out why I'm not seeing my. So I have a pointer, and it looks like it's probably right. I made a table, and it looks like my pointer is. It's saying it's RAM address 19. So this would be the high byte and the low byte, and that's what it's saying. But why, when I see, I want to add it to my watch list, but it should be saying 9204. Use map pointer and watch, not brackets. Let's remove this. Okay, so is there a way to do it here? Add to watch. That puts it like that. Can I just type that in there? How do I get it to be curly braces? Oh, so that'll decode that. Okay, so guess I'm still confused though. Decode the address. How do I? Oh, I can type in here. There we go. Look at this again. So they have this example of a NMI handler address, curly braces, word, Memory value at address. Okay. Okay. Oh, so the square brackets decodes a byte, and the curly decodes a word. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so map pointer does point to 9204. And I think, so let's see, where is map? 9204. That's right. Okay. Now I should have curnat pointer okay, that's not right. It's set. It's not decode. So my map table, the first word is room 0. I want to look at that address. So it should be, the table's at 9204, which would be 1204, I guess. Yeah, map. So the starting address should be 8424, which should be, so I want to have that value copied over. What am I actually doing? Looks like the data's all there. So I want to set cur pointer based on map. So I map pointer is pointing to that value. Load and store. I wonder if some other code is getting executed. Why? Oh, wait a second. I think I forgot to put my I need parentheses. Right. Because I'm indexed indirect. So it's, I think that's my problem. Still not going to work, but okay, so now cur.nat pointer is 8424, and I think I have that same problem probably elsewhere in my code. Yeah, I'm really certain. I don't know if map pointer points to the data you want. Yeah. So map pointer points to my table, which is just a table of addresses for each room. The pointer to an array of pointers, and then so I need to implement that fix. In my scrolling code here. So here I load next nat pointer. I think that's it. Let's just look at this again. So if we're scrolling right, then we're assuming that increments the map pointer by 2. And then we load the next nat pointer based on the map pointer. And that's also setting the working nat pointer, which then needs 56 subtracted from it. Hey, look at that. So, I don't know if that's right. What room is that? That looks like room 1. Yeah. But I want it. Oh, I added 2. It's 2 bytes per. So I actually need to add 4. Okay. That's not what I want. Yeah, so we initialize room 0. I scroll right. That's room 2 with the dead trees in the corner. Okay, let's clean some of this up. So the real thing we want to do here is separate out the 2 different tasks, because when we have a room change, first thing we need to do is get our pointer, figure out which room we're going into, and set our pointers accordingly. Once we have that information, there's multiple times where, depending upon the type of scroll, we need to initialize the working pointer. And the way we initialize that working pointer varies whether it's a left or right or vertical scroll. Thanks for the follow, No Mouth. So let's have a new function. get so, and really this is more like set next nat pointer. And init nat pointer. So is the current room and direction. So but not just copy this over for now. This is the code that we currently have. Now this is the part that I want to do separately. And really I don't even want to do. We just want to set the next. So I want to do similar. Oh, let's see. For For right, or for left, sorry, for left we want to subtract the height. So if the for subtract, if a borrow occurred, we want to perform a decrement. So if the carry is clear, if carry's set, if it's still set, then the borrow didn't occur. I don't know if I don't want to return yet. Oops. Okay, so for vertical, it's going to be pretty simple. We're just going to add first scroll down and subtract first scroll up. I have all this other code. Okay, so it's still the add code here. and we'll subtract 2. Hold on a second. This is up code. It should be subtract. Down code is, I got these backwards. Okay. So up. We're going to subtract. Okay. And that will load the next NAT pointer. Now, the init NAT pointer is what's going to do our height subtraction. Okay. Two RTSs in a row there. Sweet. Okay. So for left and right, we're always going to subtract 56. So we don't need and maybe the first thing we want to do is, well, think actually. This is basically what I did in the main when I didn't want to recall the function. So, oops. So we load that pointer 0, copy it over, and really I can do this. So we load next. We subtract 56. Store it into nat pointer, into the working pointer. So first let's copy over the high byte. Then we'll copy over the low byte decremented by 56. And if there was a borrow, we have to decrement the high byte. And don't much care about anything else. So I think we can call these functions now for, well, we've got to return. Vertical code still needs to get sorted out. Okay. So we have a nat pointer, and we have set next nat pointer. And this is our horizontal. Okay. I'm going to do this. Thing I like to try to do is at the end of the function. Oh, we can easily jump to the end of it. Still needs cleaned up, but I don't. Like being able to jump to the end of function in C with curly braces or parentheses, but you lose that in assembly. So you have to add things like that to help you out. So, hey Nikito, how we doing? Where did I have this? This code should basically be the same thing that I was doing. Oops. I had multiple label-less nameless labels. All right. Let's try left. Not so much. Okay, so right still works. And that's kind of what I expected because we've got it set up. So we start off in room. Oh, left isn't going to work because, yeah, okay, so here's how it works. We basically have a grid. Zero, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we start off in 0. If we want to scroll right, it's gonna jump by 2 rooms, which is 4 bytes. We should be able to scroll down, except I don't think in my other codes, but I should be able to scroll right and then scroll left and scroll right and scroll left. So let's try that. So that's room 1, and then we scroll left. Okay, sweet. And you can tell it's actually different because the very first screen that I draw has these glitches in the attribute tables. It looks like room 0, but it's not quite. So we can scroll right into room 2, which looks like this, and then we should be able to scroll left. We'll scroll to room 0. So that's working. And if we scroll, we haven't defined what rooms are past here. And so that's why if I scroll right again, it's all garbled. Or if I scroll left, right, we're room 0, we scroll to an undefined area. Now, yeah, so last stream we got some things cleaned up to where, or I'll step through it quick here to kind of show you guys how the scrolling works overall. So let's reset it. It was actually 2 weeks because I didn't stream last week. I was supervising a bunch of 5th graders in the wilderness. It was an interesting week. Okay. So I did a right scroll. Okay, so we're going to be scrolling right. It's loading up the next room into name table 0. Yeah, NES diff. Okay, so it's done loading that name table, the next room in name table 0. It's going to scroll into it. And then once we get all the way scrolled into it, so we're into the next room, and we're not ready. We're not in our default position. So our default position is to be playing on name table 1. So I moved these drawing routines in. Well, everything was one big blob in the main, and so we created some functions, and now it's going to start drawing. You can see here, it's drawing the current room or the next room, which is going to be the current, but it's drawing that over here back in name table 0. And it's going to do the color data. And as soon as that's done, it flips the name table a little bit and is back. So now we're back in our default position. We're ready for another scroll. And so similarly, because we have it working now, we can do a left scroll if we want, and all that same stuff happens. But the thing that whoops, that's what I want. Yeah, so you can kind of watch it. Oops, no, can't do that now. Control. Anyway, so we can do a right scroll. I think my computer's freaking out. Messing is not happy with me. Anyway, we can do a right scroll and a left scroll. Now down. Okay, something worked. Let's see. I think our reason behind what? Let's see here. I'm just not sure which part you're asking about. Are you talking about why I have name table 1 as always being the default? If so, that's it. I have it defined as our starting point. Or are you asking some question about downward scrolling, which is mostly broken right now? Oh, maybe I shouldn't have this memory tools going back here. Yeah, the reason I do that, well, it's a lot to do with the heads up display. Let's get mess working here again. I don't need that. So the the HUD is name table 0. That's the wrong tile set in here, but and the default play field is in name table 1. And what that allows us to do is we can do upward scrolls within name table 1. We have vertical mirroring. So when we do vertical scrolling, we end up having this 4-row buffer, which correlates to where the heads-up display would have been. So for up scrolls, it's easy. We have the entirety of name table 1 to do upward scrolls. We can't do upward scrolls from name table 0 because of the heads-up display. So that's mainly what dictates it. And we always have to be ready to do an upward or downward scroll. So if we horizontally scroll into name table 0, well, I forgot we can't do that anymore. We got to go right, how we've defined the map. If we scroll to name table 0, now we're not prepared to do a vertical scroll anymore because the heads-up display is going to be in our way. So we jump back over name table 1, and now we're ready for a vertical scroll. So that's just the grand plan and how I figured out how to get the glitchless 4-way scrolling. Well, it's not actively 4-way, but you go all directions. I don't know if I'd say lack of confidence as much as this seemed like the simplest solution to me. So so the other mirroring options that we have available, well, yeah, it was the simplest and a clear path on how to make it glitch free. Yeah. And really, I mean, that jump back to name table 1, like I just called my functions a couple more times and it was done. So I still don't even with doing complex raster effects. Overall, I think it's still going to be more complicated as a whole. It'd be one thing if everything wasn't room based, right? If it was more like a Mario 3, where I have 8-way scrolling, or at any point in the room I could scroll. It's being room based. This worked out well. If it wasn't room based, then there would be benefit. You wouldn't be able to do this basically. It wouldn't work near as well. So the fact that it's based on rooms, yeah. So that definition of the project is what led me to this being the easiest, simplest, and knew I'd be able to get it glitch free. Okay. So the downward is a little bit messed up. Let's see what our code looks like here. I still use, so I think the reason it's working is because basically my old code is still in effect. If we scroll down, yeah, and I had down defined as room. 0, 2. Yeah. Okay. So this is basically the way we previously had it working, and why I stopped, because we didn't have our room pointer set up. So when it does the downward scroll, let's see this in action. Messen's not playing very nicely tonight. I don't know why I'm... Come on now. All right, let's trigger it down. So for downward, it's going to start drawing our updates here, and we're going to step into it. Oh, I haven't actually updated recently. I just, when I ran into the memory leak issue with the event viewer, you guys gave me a link to get the updated one that fixed it. So it's scrolling into the room from above. Okay, now the scroll is not quite done. There. Okay, so the scroll's done, but the top left is in this. Yeah, I think he did. I think he was the one that found it. Now it's gonna start drawing the current screen here, so that we can jump into it, because we're not in our default position. Default is the top left corner being here. So it draws that room in name table 0, and then jumps over to it. Okay. And now we need to draw it one last time here. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if we can use our new functions here. Clean some of this up. So one second here. I'm a single dad this week. So if my kids need something, I gotta run upstairs quick. Might just take a break here quick. I'm not sure how long. Hopefully not too long. Okay. So in here. Trying to figure out. Down scrolls and up scrolls are supposed to be able to use some of the same code here. Yeah. So here, set nat pointer. I have a, okay. We also have set nat pointer. PPU address is also setting the starting PPU address, but horizontal was doing that on its own. It's a fixed location, so we removed that functionality from, yeah, okay. So the first thing we want to do is set next nat pointer. Now we also need to init the nat pointer, init the working pointer. So needs to copy. Okay. Let's look at this down code. And this was just, this is replacing that. Now, the attribute table pointer should be the nat pointer plus Is it? A32, let's see, 20. So there's 30 rows minus 4 for the HUD. Whoops. 26 times 32 rows. Yeah, so there's 832 tiles per playfield. And then there's 56 attribute table bytes is 888. Yeah. So to get the attribute table, we need to add 32. Maybe I can do this math up there while I'm doing that, but let's just do it here. So that's 340 hex. So we'll add 40. Now, the carry will be set if we need it to. See if I can actually do 16-bit math properly this time. So we load the NAT pointer, we add 40, we store it in the low byte, we load the upper byte, and we add 3 plus the carry if it was set, and we store it. We should be able to do that math in here. Maybe just go ahead and so we load next, we store it, we add 40, and we store it in the attribute table pointer. Now, we go ahead and load Load won't affect the carry, will it? Yeah. So we should be able to load the next, store it, add with carry, store it. Yeah, I think that'll work. All right, so the attribute table pointer is pointing to the end of the room data, which is the attribute, and then the initial starting PPU address. Okay. So maybe that works. So we should just be able to scroll down, which should go to room 1, the wells. Close. Something is wrong with the attribute table data, though. What happened? Maybe our math is wrong. It was right all the way up to the point to where we get to the wells. Here our color data is wrong. And that's copying it over to name table 0. But it's not the right stuff. Because that I didn't that go to default I didn't fix yet. wonder why that. Let's look back at my. Problem with my. Oh, what's going on here? This update, was I modifying the wrong code? So set next. I add 2 to the map pointer. I load next. Okay, init nat pointer. I think I was updating the PPU. I was updating the wrong function. Check vert. Check down. Oh, maybe not. Let's just check our pointers, I guess. It did the right. Okay, so we have kernat pointer next net pointer and then just at pointer. I guess I could just type this stuff. Just search for it if I know exactly what it's called. Okay, so And let's verify these things. So room 1. Room 1 is 879C and room 1AT is 8ADC. Okay, so next NAT pointer is proper. I don't think I have NAT pointer. Oh, but I think there was some math I had to do to NAT pointer. Maybe I didn't do that right. Okay. So NAT pointer is room 1, 879C. And at pointer is 8ADC. That looks right. Why is this happening? Oh, it's copying it, it's preserving it. Let's see if... So initial starting address is subtracted by 32. The set NAT pointer function that's all it did. So that works. The old method. It's a that breakpoint. whole lot of sense. Guess we'll step through it and keep track of our pointers to make sure that they because it's right for so long. Let's look at I wonder if I so for the let's turn off our breakpoints and just step through it. So do a frame. Yeah. So 7. There's probably some math error using different data. I wonder if we use different room data if we get the proper result. Okay, so the tile data is correct. The attribute table data is what we got to watch. Now that should be incrementing by 8 every 4 rows. So 8A DC is what it currently is. Now it should increment after this. Yeah. 8, 4. DC. So what did that change by? Minus 8A E4 8. Oh, it decremented. For downward scroll, it should be incrementing. No, I did the math wrong. Yeah, because 8, 4 is what currently is, and it was DC. Yeah. So DC plus 8 equals 84. Yep. Okay. Then it's EC. It's not rendering how I want it to be. Next, it'll be F4. Yeah, and see, it's going to wrap around. I think that's where I have a math problem. So EC, F4, and then it'll be FC. Then it should be 8B04, and it probably isn't. Yeah. That's why. So where's my math for the incrementing of the attribute table pointer? Add 8. That's all I do is add 8. I don't. It's a 16-bit number, Paul. What are you doing? Yeah. Of course. Okay. This is just the lower nibble. That's probably, man, whatever. That's why I like putting +0 to tell myself. There we go. So we still the go to default still needs to get fixed. So if the go to default bit is set, so instead of calling set nat pointer, we already have the next nat pointer is already set. And this is finally, now we can finally do the things we've been wanting to do because of, that's why I've been working on this stuff. Okay. So the next nat pointer is already set. We are going to draw the next room in name table 0, very much like how we draw or scrolling. We just need to initialize the working pointer. Now, to do that, it's copying it over and then subtracting 56. An init nat pointer uses direction to determine how to initialize it. And the direction's down. And yeah, okay. So one solution is just to copy the code over. So we copy the high byte and we subtract 56. We tell it where to go. Oh, predicament. That's happening right here. So I'm gonna. I was manually doing it. Okay, so now it should draw the correct screen, correct room in name table 0 for the downward scroll. Sweet. It did that. But now we need to redraw it all over again in name table 1 and then jump to it. But this is also nearly identical to if we were doing a left-right scroll. I wonder if I can just cheat. And all right, so where am I? Okay, if z flag equals 0, we're done. So we need to jump to So this is me setting the scroll position to here. And I was saying that the real solution is to not have set net pointer dependent on the D-pad. Yeah. What I would really like is I want an input argument instead of scroll dir. Because then I could do things like vertical. It's very much like a vertical. You just copy it over and subtract 56. Copy next, subtract 56. If it's a down, I have to set the attribute table pointer. What I think I can do, though, I don't know if this is clever or a hack. I guess it depends upon if it'll work. So let's imagine this. This is the same position as if we had done a left or a right scroll into this situation. The same. So in that state, we need to go to default bit to be set, but for a horizontal type scroll. And in that case, it'll draw the current room here and jump over there. So instead of scroll none, it's just like when a horizontal is complete, but in name table 0. Set to that state, and it'll finish for us. That makes it difficult to determine if there's additional things need to be done. But we should probably be triggering those separately or something. So what state is, I think we can just clear or set the horizontal bit. Let's try that. So LDA scroll dir or in the go to default bit should still be set. The only thing I'm not sure about is the scroll and the camera. Let's just see if it works. Why not? Looks like it worked. Sweet. So let's step through that quick. Okay, so we have a downward scroll, which is going from room 0 to room 1. And this is what room 1 looks like with the tops of the wells. So we start scrolling in the default in name table 1. Once we get to the end of the screen, it starts redrawing in name table 0. So that we can jump over there. Once it's drawn, we jump over there. We're rendering from name table 0. Now we can redraw name table 1 exactly how instead of having the top left playfield tile here, it can have it here. So now it's drawing it in the proper position and jumps over, and we're back in the default. Sweet. So now one thing we haven't tried yet, and we'll do this on the flash or cartridge here. We should be, because we set up our little map. And so now we should be able to that's all just bad connection. All right. You're only halfway going to be able to see it. Oh, you can see it pretty good. Okay. Oh, don't get big on me. So room. This is the default room. We're calling it 0. So let's scroll right, which, if you remember, our mapping is going to be room 2. It'll have the dead trees. Boom. Okay, now we can scroll back into room 0, which this is the one that I actually have cleaned up without the attribute table glitches. Boom. And we can go back again. We go back and forth between room 0, room 1. Okay, so we will have to reset at some point because I don't have up working, but we can go down into room 1, and room 1 has the wells. So we just saw this on Messin. Sweet. Now, okay, so we went down to room 1. Now we should be able to go over into room 3. See if it works. We should be able to scroll right into the trees, the evergreens. Hey, look at that. Sweet. I can scroll back left again into the wells. Okay. This is cool. Now, up's not going to work. Oh, well, it kind of worked. The scrolling wasn't clean because of all that code, but I think because of our default setting back to default, it did work. Well, the end result was proper. So we're in room 2. We should be able to scroll down into room 3, which it should look like this. And if we scroll up, are we back into the dead trees? Okay. So we still never got the up scrolls working for a multitude of reasons. But this is pretty good. I'm going to talk about why I didn't get upward scrolls working, because I adjusted what my final plan was, and we needed a lot of the things that we have now to be able to do it properly. Oh, you gave me a link for that. I'll check that out. Messon seems to be behaving now, but it's always good to update. Okay. So, upward scrolls. The way we were working on them, or had started to, but never finished, is we start in our default position, much like downs, and we start drawing and we scroll up. Now, anytime that you have to deal with this wraparound, it's a pain, because you run into the attribute tables. You have to skip over the attribute tables. The attribute table updates become more complicated because you're also in the middle of the attribute table. It's easier for vertical scrolling if you cannot have to deal with that boundary, to deal with the wraparound of the attribute table and name tables. So our plan to not have to do that is kind of do the opposite of downward scrolls. We are going to first jump into, we're going to draw the current screen in name table 0. Jump over there. It should be pretty easy to do with the functions we have now. We're going to redraw the current screen in name table 1, but instead of having it with the top left tile here, we're going to draw it with the top left tile here. That way, when we very first start making our updates and scrolling into the next room, we won't have to deal with this wraparound. The very first update will be at the bottom of the screen. So we can just start at the bottom of the tiles, the bottom of the attribute tables, and draw our way up. And as we do that, we'll scroll and draw our way up. And when we finish, we'll actually be done. We'll end in our default position. Excuse me. And so that makes everything simpler. There's no reason that we have to. We should have enough time to do it all. It takes 16 frames to draw a screen, whether or not we can. In reality, we could preemptively draw those things as we get close, but we don't really want to do it if we're not doing an upward scroll. Anyway, that's going to be easier to do now. So now that we have all these other tools, and I guess this is kind of turned into my recap here. But yeah, so the things that we set out to do today was have a lookup table, for the room data. And we're just starting off with a very basic one, arranging the rooms in order of just 4 rooms. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So if we're in 0 and we scroll down, we just have to add 1. If we want to scroll up, we just have to subtract 1. Anytime we want to do a right scroll, we need to add the height. So that'll get more complicated when we deal with all the irregular shaped areas. But for now, you add 2 to go to the right, and you subtract 2 to go to the left. And my lookup table is just I don't even need these. So my imported room data is just arranged in that order. And so we separated some of these. We had one master set NAT pointer PPU adder, setting the PPU address, setting the NAT pointer, doing a bunch of things. We didn't, which it wasn't flexible. So now we have set next NAT pointer. So you call this whenever you're initiating the room change. And it just does the math on the map pointer. So it changes the map pointer to point to the proper room, and then it copies. It dereferences the map pointer and loads up the NAT pointer. So then anytime we want to, so then we have our working pointer depending upon what type of scrolling we're doing, how that's being manipulated. But that will copy the next NAT pointer to the working and do the subtraction, the pre-subtraction of 56 if we need it. And we added functionality to so for the downward scrolls, we have a looks like this up that I haven't, this is up, I haven't finished yet. For the downward scrolls, we have 2 separate working pointers. We have NAT, which is actually just name table, and then at for attribute table. So we have to add 832, which is hex 340, to get a pointer for the attribute table data. Anyway, so that does that, and now we have it. So downward scrolls work, and we have our little trick to finish that, because it's basically the same exact state. Once we scroll down and we jump into name table 0, we're in name table 0 at the final screen. We just need to get back to 1, which is very similar to the horizontal. So I just set the horizontal bit, and it does everything for us. So I'll show it. Really quickly in here again. Oh, why does this sometimes change which? I don't know how to get it to sometimes be the way I want it and other times not. It's displaying with It's not using the tile set I want. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I have any breakpoints. I can see him here, can't I? It doesn't look like it. Anyway, just try to restart it here and see if that fixes it. Down, render frame. Okay. So it draws a screen as it scrolls down with the name table 0. Gets to the end, starts drawing the next screen, same one we're displaying, name table 0. Jumps over when it's done, then it draws it back in name table 1 and jumps over. So it's ready for the next change. So we can scroll left. Well, no, we can't because we have to scroll right first. But we can scroll within these 4 rooms now. Up still doesn't work. The final up is right, but as we're scrolling, it's wrong. It actually draws, messes up the heads-up display attribute tables, but anyway, we make pretty good progress. I think I'm gonna stream another night this week. I might stream Friday night. I'm not sure. But missed last week, and I'd like to make up for it. I'm probably it's gonna either be a Friday night or one of the weekend days. So I'm not sure. I'll try to announce it on Twitter beforehand, but yeah. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.